من بعد العدم فالحمد ثم الحمد ثم الحمد لك حمدا كثيرا طيبا يا رب لك أعطيتنا خيرا كثيرا ربنا سترت عن كل الورى عيوبنا ثم الصلاة بعد والتسليم على النبي المصطفى الكريم وآله وصحبه الكرام السادة الأبرار والعظام وبعد فاعلموا فخير
Okay, inshallah, today we will be doing hadith number 7 from Kitabul Wahi, the book of Revelations. The 7th hadith is a very interesting hadith. It's a long narration, and this is in relation to the event which took place in the 6th hijri. According to some scholars, it was the 7th hijri, and this was after Sulha hudaybiyah. And Sulha hudaybiyah, for those of you who do not know what Sulha hudaybiyah is, Sulha hudaybiyah was the peace treaty which took place between the Prophet ﷺ and the non-Muslims, the mushrikeen of Makkah. So before, as you are aware, that there were battles between the Muslims and the non-Muslims, and this was going on. So this peace treaty was really a time for the Muslims to really establish and to focus on the dawah. And this waqia, this hadith is in relation to that. In the 6th hijri, Rasulullah ﷺ started to send the letters to invite the kings to the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Islam. Rasulullah ﷺ, he invited the Kisra Badshah, the Persian Empire. He invited the Pope in Rome, Negus of Abyssinia, and Makukus in Egypt. And one of them letters which was given to Herclius. It was given in the hand of the famous Sahabi Dihya Kalbi. Dihya Kalbi radiyallahu anhu, whose job was to deliver this letter to Herclius. It is mentioned about this famous Sahabi that Dihya Kalbi radiyallahu anhu was one of the most beautiful Sahaba. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he mentions about Dihya Kalbi. He said that he was said to be the Yusuf alayhi salam of this ummah. This is how beautiful Dihya Kalbi was. In other narration, it mentions that Jibreel alayhi salam, when he used to come in various forms, and one of them forms were in the form of Dihya Kalbi, when he used to come in the form of a human. So this was the letter. It was delivered by Dihya Kalbi, and this had to be delivered to Herclius. Now Herclius is known to be a very famous figure in the Roman history, and we've all heard about the famous Herclius, and this is the true incident which took place in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And Herclius, he was the king of Byzantines. He was the Caesar. In the Persian language, we will call it Caesar. Caesar means anyone who ruled over Rome, meaning the Roman Empire. And at that time, it would include majority of Europe, and it would also include Sham. Now, Heraclius was a Christian scholar. He had studied the previous scriptures, and he was well versed in the previous scriptures. He had studied different sciences. Sciences of the stars. He used to look into the palms, and he used to be into these sciences of fortune telling. This is all haram in Islam. It is not allowed to do or study these kind of sciences in Islam. It is all haram. Ibn Hajar Asqalani rahimahullah, he mentions some background of this hadith, and he mentions when Dihya Kalbi radiyallahu anhu was ordered to deliver this letter to Heraclius. At that time, Heraclius was celebrating his victory over the Persians, and he had done a nazar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nazar is something where a person, he picks an oath, and this is between the person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Muslims, we do this as well, and Heraclius had done this. He had picked a nazar. He had said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, if you give me victory over the Persians, then I will walk from Constantinople all the way till Baytul Quds, walking. Okay, so this was what he was doing at this moment of time when Dihya Kalbi radiallahu anhu was ordered to give the letter to him. So he was more powerful than ever before, because they have just conquered the superpower of the world, and that was the Persian Empire. And this was something which was unthinkable. And the background to this is mentioned in Surah Rum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed an ayat in regard to this several years before even doing Hijrat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in Surah Rum, Alif Lam Mim Ghulibatir Rum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the Roman Empire has been defeated. The Roman Empire has been defeated في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says that in the nearer land, and they after their defeat will be victorious. Subhanallah. في بدع سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says within a few years. Now bid'i sinin could be something which is from 3 years to on till 9 years. These ayats had been revealed whilst the Muslims were still in Makkah, before doing Hijrat to Medina. Imam al-Tabari rahimullah, he mentions under the tafsir of these ayats, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu heard about these ayats when they were revealed, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went to the marketplace and he made an announcement to the mushrikeen of Makkah, and he said that do not get too happy, for indeed the Romans will overpower the Persians in a matter of a few years. And this was very surprising for them to hear this, because the way the Roman Empire had been defeated by the Persians was such a way that it is not even possible for them to even recover, let alone take over the Persian Empire. So at that time, the enemy of Allah, Ubay ibn Khalf, he was there, he was listening to what Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was saying. So he challenged him and he said that you are lying. How can this even be possible? So at that time, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, O enemy of Allah, you are a liar, and I am willing to bet on this 10 camels. And at this time, it was allowed to bet. The ayats in regards to betting had not come down, so betting was something which was jaiz at the early stages. It was later on when betting and gambling it became haram. So at this time it was halal. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he said to Ubay ibn Khalf that I am willing to bet 10 camels on this. So when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he made this bet with Ubay ibn Khalf, he went back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu that the words fi bid'i sinin, it doesn't have to be 3 years. It can be something which is from 3 years onwards till 9 years. So when hearing this, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he went back to Ubay ibn Khalf, and then he said that from 3 years till 9 years. And he also changed the amount of camels. Ubay ibn Khalf was so confident that there is no chance where the Roman Empire will be able to take the Persian Empire because of the way they've been defeated. So he was willing to bet up to it to 100 camels. So they had a bet of 100 camels that the Persian Empire will not be defeated by the Roman Empire, according to Ubay ibn Khalf. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had said that the Roman Empire will defeat the Persian Empire in a matter of 3 to 9 years. And it is mentioned, Imam al-Tabari, he goes on to mention about the background of this. He says that it was later on in the when the Muslims had done Hijrat to Medina, and at that time, after the Battle of Badr, it was then when the Persian Empire was defeated by the Romans, and this was something which was unthinkable. And at that time, Ubay ibn Khalf, the enemy of Allah, he had died. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he went to the inheritors of Ubay ibn Khalf and he demanded his 100 camels and it was given to him. So going back onto the hadith, now in the 7th hijri, Heraclius was now fulfilling his nazar which he had done to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if he had got victory over the Persians, then he will walk from Constantinople till all the way till Baytul Quds, Masjid al-Aqsa, carrying the Christian cross. So this was a promise that he had made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was walking with all his army, and there were people who were putting flowers on his feet and they were greeting him for his victory over the Persians. So now this was the time when Dihya Kalbi radiallahu anhu had to give this letter to Heraclius, and it was quite difficult to reach Heraclius because he had so much security and the guards around him. So Dihya Kalbi radiallahu anhu, he gave the letter to the ruler of Busra, which is in Sham, not Basra. Basra, that is in Iraq. This was Busra, which is in Sham. So the ruler of Busra, whose name was Haris, and he was from the tribe of Ghathan. He was a Christian Arab originally. So he now gave this letter to Heraclius. And now when Heraclius had received this letter, and he was told about this letter, that who had given it and what it was about. Now even before opening the letter, Heraclius wanted to do some research about who is this person claiming to be a prophet. And what does he say? He wanted to investigate about the matter, because like I mentioned, he was well versed in the previous scriptures. He knew his scriptures so well that he knew that there is a coming prophet, and he knew that soon there will be a prophet that will come, but he did not know where from. So he wanted to do some more research, and now this leads us to this hadith. So it is mentioned in this hadith, حدثنا أبو اليمان الحكم ابن نافع قال أخبرنا شعيب عن الزهري قال أخبرني عبد الله ابن عتبة ابن مسعود أن عبد الله ابن عباس أخبره أن أبا سفيان ابن حرب أخبره. It is mentioned by Abdullah ibn Abbas that he was informed that indeed Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, he informed him. So Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu, he is mentioning this incident. He is the leader of Makkah. He was the enemy of the Prophet ﷺ at this moment of time, to such an extent that he even had a reward on the Prophet ﷺ's life, that whoever catches the Prophet ﷺ dead or alive, then he will be rewarded 100 camels. So at this time he was the enemy of the Prophet ﷺ. So he is mentioning this, and he says that أن هرقل أرسل إليه في رقب من قريش, that Herclius had sent a qasid, a person towards him whilst he was in a qafla from the Quraysh. وَكَانُوا تُجَّارٌ بِالشَّامِ, and they had come to do some business in Sham. And you know that Makkah was the central point of all the markets. Now Makkah was very well known to do trade and to do business, and the Quraysh, they used to come to Sham. Now Sham is not referring to today's Syria, what we know as, but Sham is referring to Jordan, Palestine and Syria, all those areas. That's what's meant by Sham over here. في المدة التي كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ماد فيها أبا سفيان وكفار قريش. And in this time Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, he had a truce, he had a peace treaty in it with Abu Sufyan and the Quraysh of Makkah. So they had a peace treaty between them, and this is referring to Sulha hudaybiyah, which happened in the 6th or the 7th hijri. And this was a peace treaty which meant a contract that was signed by the Prophet ﷺ and the non-Muslims, the mushrikeen of Makkah, that there will be no war in between them. فَأَتَوْهُ وَهُمْ بِإِلِيَا. So Abu Sufyan came and they came, and his companions to Elia. Elia is referring to Jerusalem. فَدَعَاهُمْ فِي مَجْلِسِهِ. So Herclius invited them to his gathering, his majlis. وَحَوْلَهُ زَمَاءُ الرُّومِ. And around them were the leaders of Rome. ثُمَّ دَعَاهُمْ وَدَعَا بِتَرْجُمَانِهِ. Then he called them and he called his tarjuman. So Herclius, he called them and he called his tarjuman. Tarjuman is referring to a translator. Now Herclius did not know Arabic, so he needed a tarjuman, a translator who would translate everything for him. So he said, the first question he asked to Abu Sufyan and the Arabs was, أيكم أقرب نسبا بهذا الرجل الذي يزعم أنه نبي. That which one of you is the most closest in lineage to this man who claims to be a prophet of Allah. So who amongst you is close to him? فقال أبو سفيان. So Abu Sufyan, when he heard this, he said, أنا, I am the most closest to him in nasab. أقربهم نسبا. The question that arises is that how is Abu Sufyan, the enemy of the Prophet ﷺ, even related to Rasulullah ﷺ? So the answer to this is that the father of Rasulullah ﷺ was Abdullah, and the father of Abdullah was Abdul Muttalib, and the father of Abdul Muttalib was Hashim, who was the grandfather of Rasulullah ﷺ. Now Hashim had 3 brothers, and in total there were 4 brothers, so Hashim, Muttalib, Nawfal and Abd Shams. Abd Shams is where the lineage of Abu Sufyan came from. So Abu Sufyan is from the lineage of Abd Shams. So this is how Abu Sufyan was related to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Herclius said, "Adnuhu minni wa qarribu ashabahu." That bring him close to me and bring his companions close as well. فَجَعَلُهُمْ إِنْدَ ظَهْرِهِ. So he started to put them behind him. So his companions, they were the companions of Abu Sufyan, they were made to line up behind him. The reason why Herclius, he wanted the companions of Abu Sufyan to be behind him and not in front of each other was so they cannot indicate or give certain isharas to each other whilst the questioning is happening to them. ثم قال لترجمانه. Then Herclius said to his translator, قُلْ لَهُمْ إِنِّي سَائِلٌ. That tell them that I am going to ask some questions about this man, and if they were to lie, إِنْ كَذَبَنِي then فَكَذِّبُوهُ, then they will reject him, meaning his companions, they will reject him. Abu Sufyan says then, if by Allah, if I did not have this fear of having this accusation of lying upon me, then I would have definitely lied upon the Prophet ﷺ. And the reason why is because the Prophet ﷺ was his enemy at this time. They were enemies at this time and they had the truce. So this was an ideal opportunity for Abu Sufyan to lie upon the Prophet ﷺ. But he feared that his people, his companions will accuse him of being a liar. So even the idol worshippers, the mushrikeen of Makkah, even they had this much honor and this much respect that they did not want to be known as liars. So he said that this is what stopped me from lying. So Abu Sufyan, he then says that the first question which Heraclius asked me was, كَيْفَ نَسَبُهُ فِيكُمْ, that how is he in terms of lineage amongst you? So I said that he is from a Zu Nasabi, he is from a respected lineage. قَالَ. So then Herclius then questioned about the Prophet ﷺ to Abu Sufyan, and he mentioned the second question, and he said, فَهَلِ الْقَالَ هَذَا الْقَوْلَ مِنْكُمْ أَحَدٌ قَدْتُ قَبْلَهُ. That has this claim of being a prophet, has it ever been mentioned from amongst you ever before? So I said, La. Question, his third question, and he said, فَأَشْرَفُ النَّاسِ يَتَّبِعُونَهُ أَنْ دُعَفَاؤُهُمْ. Is it the noble people that who are following him, or is it the weak people? فَقُلْتُ. So I said, بَلْ دُعَفَاؤُهُمْ. It is rather the poor people who are following him. Abu Sufyan then was questioned from Heraclius the fourth question, and the fourth question was, أَيَزِيدُونَ أم ينقصون? Are his followers increasing or are they decreasing? So I said, بل يزيدون, that his followers are increasing. So then now he goes on to question his fifth question. فهل يرتد أحد منهم سقطة لدينه بعد أن يدخل فيه? So Heraclius, he then questioned him and said that has anyone left the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being angry from it after they have entered into it? Heraclius was asking was that has anyone become a murtad after accepting Islam? Have they become a murtad? So what the word murtad means is someone who leaves the religion of Islam. So they have entered into the religion of Islam, but then they come out of it, they leave Islam. This is known as a murtad. So Abu Sufyan, he says, La, that is not the case. So Herclius then questioned him, فهل كنتم تتهمونه بالكذب قبل أن يكونوا ما قال? That have you ever accused him of lying before this claim of what he has said? So Abu Sufyan said no. So Herclius then questioned him and said, فهل يغدر? That has this man, يعني Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has he ever deceived? So I said no. And so Abu Sufyan then goes on to say that at this moment of time we have a Sulha, and referring to the Sulha hudaybiyah, and we do not know what he is going to do in this moment of time. And he also goes on to say that it was not possible for me to enter into this conversation a single word. فيها شيئا غير هذه كلمة. I could not enter into this conversation any accusation on the Prophet ﷺ or giving anything negative about the Prophet ﷺ except for these few words about saying that we do not know what the Prophet ﷺ is going to do in this Sulha hudaybiyah and this Sulha that they've had. So this was the only few words he could add into the conversation. So then Herclius went on to question, فَهَلْ قَاتَلْتُمُهُ? That have you fought him? So I said, yes, we have fought him. So Herclius questioned that how was your fighting with him? كَيْفَ كَانَ قِتَالُهُمْ إِيَّاهُ? So I said, الْحَرْبُ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُ سِجَالٌ. So Abu Sufyan, now he says that the war between us and him is like a contest. Sometimes he wins and sometimes we win. So then now Herclius is questioning him, مَاذَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ? So now he's asking in regards to the rulings, what is the Prophet ﷺ ordering you? So Abu Sufyan says, قُلْتُ, I said that he orders us اعبدوا الله وحده, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا, and not to do shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with anything. Subhanallah. So from here we learn that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as ulama mentioned, that the first 10 years when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Makkah, he was not teaching them about the ahkam, the rulings of how to do wuzu, how to do these things, but rather the most important aspect of the deen, and that is the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to do shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you see, the mushrikeen, they already believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the sharia of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam from thousands of years ago. They already had a hajj, they already performed hajj, and they already had a few worships that they were following from the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But because they had changed the religion so much so that now they had completely changed it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned in Surah Ankabut, he says, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتُم مَّنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالسَّخَرَ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ لَيَكُونُ اللَّهُ. Now if you were to ask them, O Muhammad, if you were to ask them who is the creator of the skies and the earth, and who fixed the period of time for the rotation of the sun and the moon, they will say it is Allah. So subhanallah, they will say it is Allah. The mushrikeen, they will say it is Allah. So they already believed in Allah. And Allah says that وَلَئِن سَأَلْتُم مَّن نَّزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. So if you were to ask them, O Muhammad, who is the one who brings down from the skies the water, and he gives life to the earth after it has died, they will respond and say, it is Allah. In Surah Mu'minun, in verse 84 till 89, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لِمَنِ الْأَرْضُ وَمَنْ فِيهَا إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Muhammad, say to them, who is this earth for and who is in it, if you know. سَيَقُولُ لِلَّهِ. They will say it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Tell them, O Muhammad, why don't you contemplate? Why don't you think? Allah then says that قُلْ مَنْ رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ السَّبْعِ وَرَبُّ الْعَرْشِ الْعَظِيمِ. That say, who is the Rabb of the 7 skies and the Rabb of the Arshul Azim? سَيَقُولُ لِلَّهِ. They will say it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah says, O Muhammad, قُلْ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. And say to them that why don't you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So there are many ayats throughout the Quran which mention about that they already believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you were to read any of the major tafsirs like Tafsir Qurtubi, Tafsir Tabri, Tafsir Ibn Qasir, they all have a lot of great detail about this, of what they were doing wrong. So and this is the question which arises, is that why is Allah calling them mushrikeen when they already believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And that's the question to be asked. So what they were doing wrong is now they had given certain qualities to others other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now these idols that they had around the Kaaba, the 365 idols, they knew that this was not their creator, and these were idols of pious people, of what they made idols of. So they used to think that we cannot reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except through these intercessors. We need these idols who they are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we ask from them, they will be able to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. So they used to be doing dua to these idols. And this is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in Surah Baqarah, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. O Muhammad, when my slaves ask you about me, then tell them, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةِ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِي. And I answer the dua of my caller when he calls upon me. Therefore, فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, therefore call upon me and believe in me, so you may be guided. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying to them, so they may be guided, so call upon me. And this was the shirk that they were doing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made this clear. Man lam yas'alillaha yadghab alayh. The one who does not ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon him. Okay, so this all falls into the categories of Tawheed, and this is from the categories of Tawheed Uluhiyah. And this inshallah we will go into these categories in Kitab al-Tawheed. But this was just a few things just to highlight of where the mushrikeen of Makkah, they were going wrong. And when Herclius questioned them about that, what does he order you to do? So the first answer that Abu Sufyan, he gave to Herclius, that he orders us to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and not to do shirk with him. So in the next lesson inshallah we'll continue from here. And we look at how Herclius then responded to these questions, and what happened once Herclius, he read the letter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How did he react, and what did he say? Was Herclius a Muslim? Did he have Iman or not? Well, inshallah we will look into this into the next lesson.
ثم الحمد لك حمدا كثيرا طيبا يا رب لك أعطيتنا خيرا كثيرا ربنا